Most people think productivity is the key to getting ahead, getting more done, completing more tasks, moving faster than everyone else. And on the surface, that sounds like the right idea. But there's a quiet problem hiding inside that belief. Because you can be incredibly productive and still be completely misaligned with the life you're trying to build. You can check every box on your task list. You can run from meeting to meeting. You can execute constantly. And yet, at the end of the year, something still feels off. Not because you weren't working, but because you were working without a governing system. What most people experience at some point in their lives is something I call drift. It doesn't happen suddenly. It happens gradually. Early in life, things feel simple. You make decisions based on instinct. You follow opportunities. You rely on motivation and energy. And for a while, that works. But then, life expands. Responsibilities increase. Your career grows. Financial decisions become more significant. Your health requires more intentional attention. Family, leadership, and impact start competing for your time. And suddenly, instinct alone isn't enough to manage the complexity. So people turn to productivity systems. They download better calendar apps. They experiment with new planning frameworks. They try time blocking. They build detailed task lists. And sometimes those tools do help, temporarily. But there's a deeper issue most people don't realize. Most productivity systems are designed to manage activity, not outcomes. They help you organize your time. They help you execute faster. They help you complete tasks more efficiently. But they rarely ask a more important question. What are all these actions actually supposed to produce? Without that clarity, something strange happens. You become extremely efficient at motion, but not necessarily effective at progress. You stay busy. You stay productive, but you're not always aligned. And eventually, that creates frustration. Because it feels like you're doing everything right, but the results still feel scattered. That's when people start realizing something important. What they actually need is not a productivity system. They need an operating system. Think about how a computer works. An operating system governs everything. It determines what runs, what gets priority, what gets filtered out, what resources are allocated. Without an operating system, nothing functions correctly. And in many ways, life works the same way. You need something that governs decisions before they happen. Something that filters opportunities. Something that aligns energy and effort toward the outcomes that matter most. And every true operating system begins with the same starting point. Outcomes. Not effort. Not activity. Not vague intentions. But clearly defined outcomes. Because if you never define what winning actually looks like, your system has nothing to govern. You can't filter opportunities. You can't prioritize effectively. You can't protect what matters most. Everything simply competes for attention. And when everything competes equally, the loudest thing usually wins. Not the most important thing, the loudest thing. So the real question becomes this. If you were forced to define what truly matters, what would you actually choose? Because the moment you define the outcomes that must happen, everything else becomes easier to evaluate. In the next video, we're going to go deeper into that idea. I'll show you the framework for identifying the 5 outcomes that should be non-negotiable in your life. Because once you define those, your decisions get clearer, your energy becomes directional, and your life stops drifting.